Is it possible to change your life in your 40s and 50s? Or is it too late? Science has a clear answer to this question. The answer is this: people with a growth mindset can change their lives. Psychological and neuroscience research shows that whether or not you can transform your life is influenced more by your mindset than by your age or abilities. On the flip side, if your mindset is off track, the second half of your life could become extremely difficult. So, it's crucial to pay attention. Hi there. I'm Japanese urban sage. Here's the truth: contrary to popular belief, you can absolutely change your life, even in your 40s and 50s. In fact, your 40s and 50s are prime years for making a dramatic transformation, turning your life around to an unbelievable extent. But first, let me ask, what's been happening in your life so far? How can you make a dramatic change from here? Once you discover the answers, you might find yourself saying, "Wow, I wish I'd known this sooner." In this video, I'm going to share a secret about life that 90% of people are unaware of. Let's dive in. Here's what we'll cover: what science says about changing your life in your 40s and 50s. The difference between people who can and cannot transform their lives. The secret to dramatically changing your life after 40. That last part, the secret, is especially important, so stay with me until the end. Let's start with the first point. Can you change your life in your 40s or 50s? As I mentioned earlier, scientific research shows that the ability to transform yourself and your life is influenced far more by your mindset than by your age or even your natural abilities. There are two types of mindsets: fixed mindset, growth mindset. Fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and talents are set in stone and cannot be changed. People with a fixed mindset often think, "Why bother trying? It's pointless," which leads them to avoid effort and self-improvement. As a result, they remain stuck, unable to grow or transform their lives. What does science say about this? Behavioral genetics research has shown that, yes, genetics play a role in shaping abilities, personality traits, and other factors. However, genetics account for only 50% of these traits. The remaining 50%? That's within your control. You can change and improve it. In other words, the idea that abilities, intelligence, and talents are fixed and unchangeable is not scientifically accurate. It's simply a misunderstanding or a limiting belief. Here's the truth. While genetics influence roughly half of our traits, the other half is shaped by what we do. We can change, grow, and expand our potential. Growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities, intelligence, and talents can be developed through effort and learning. People with a growth mindset think, "If I put in the work, I can change myself," which drives them to pursue challenges, self-improvement, and growth. The results? Their abilities improve, their personalities evolve, and, ultimately, they truly transform their lives. Now, here's an important point. The type of mindset you adopt has nothing to do with your age or abilities. For example, a highly talented 20-something with a fixed mindset may think, "There's no point in trying, everything is predetermined." As a result, they avoid effort and stagnate, leading to no personal or life changes. On the other hand, a person in their 40s or 50s with average abilities but a growth mindset might believe, "I can improve myself through effort and self-improvement." As a result, they put in the work and experience meaningful transformation in their lives. This means, even in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, a growth mindset allows you to change yourself and your life. For instance, research on people who started learning piano in their 60s showed that their brains underwent structural changes, new neural connections as a result of learning. Why? Because the brain remains flexible throughout life, capable of learning and rewiring itself. That's the scientific conclusion. So, the idea that it's too late to change your life after 50 is nothing more than a myth, a misconception. And that's not all. This misconception often stems from a misunderstanding of the difference between social success and life success, a topic we'll revisit later. The difference between people who can change their lives and those who cannot. As mentioned earlier, the key factor influencing whether you can change your life is your mindset, not your age. Here's the breakdown. Fixed mindset, no change. Growth mindset, change happens. In other words, a young person in their 20s or 30s with a fixed mindset might believe, why bother? Everything is determined by natural ability. This belief stops them from putting in effort, which naturally leads to no growth or transformation. On the other hand, even someone in their 40s, 50s, or 60s with a growth mindset will actively pursue personal and life changes. And as a result, they succeed in transforming themselves and their lives. Here's the key. People with a fixed mindset, whether they're in their 20s or 50s, are trapped by their unscientific beliefs. And, as a result, fail to change. And this problem worsens with age. As people get older, they often reinforce beliefs like, it's too late now, I'm stuck this way. This mindset leads to a tough second half of life. Why? Because life starts to feel like a dead game, a meaningless series of tasks with no hope of change or excitement. The result? A life that feels hard, boring, and unfulfilling. But here's the good news. Your life's outcome is not set in stone, far from it. Especially when it comes to personal happiness and fulfillment, what we call life success. Your 50s are just the beginning. Life is still an open playing field. It's not over. In fact, it's just getting started. What does this mean? Let's explore further. The secret to dramatically changing your life after 40. Change your life after 50? That's ridiculous. It's too late. This way of thinking is based on the idea of social success as the ultimate measure of life. But what does that really mean? The truth is, there are two types of success. Social success, the winners. Life success, the happy ones. Life success is determined by your own evaluation of your happiness. If you can honestly say, I feel happy, then you're successful in life. On the other hand, social success is all about how others evaluate you, your rank in society. As humans, we share an instinct with primates to climb the social hierarchy. Why? In the animal world, being at the top of the hierarchy often increases one's chances of survival and reproduction. Driven by this primal instinct, many of us spend our teens, 20s, and 30s chasing higher status, working tirelessly to secure a top position in the societal hierarchy. But here's the catch. Your rank in the hierarchy isn't determined by you, it's based on how others perceive and evaluate you. For example, during World War II, someone who killed many enemy soldiers might have been celebrated as a hero, admired, and promoted to a higher rank within the military. Why? Because back then, many people believed that killing foreign enemies was a noble act, and they admired those who did so. At the same time, those who opposed the war or advocated for peace were seen as mad or weak and were harshly criticized. This shows how social success depends entirely on the value systems and beliefs of others. In a capitalist society like ours today, wealth is often seen as the ultimate marker of success. People admire the rich, which reinforces the idea that financial success equals social success. But this isn't set in stone. If a universal basic income UBI system were introduced in the future, for example, the relative value of money would diminish. Society's definition of a success might shift to something entirely different, because people's values and their collective beliefs would change. In other words, social success is fleeting and depends heavily on the subjective evaluations of others. It's a shallow concept in many ways. And yet, because the desire for recognition is deeply rooted in our biology, many of us spend our early lives seeking social validation, pushing ourselves in work, relationships, and competition, often without questioning why. Why life success matters more than social success. Here's the reality. Social success doesn't guarantee happiness. For instance, during wartime, people who killed enemies might have received high praise from others. But do you think they felt truly happy inside? Likely not. This illustrates that being admired by others doesn't necessarily translate to inner happiness. And this realization often begins to dawn on us in our 40s and 50s. You might start asking yourself, I've spent my life chasing status and recognition, but is this really how I want to live the rest of my life? As the influence of primal instincts fades with age, people in their 40s and 50s often start to notice what truly matters in life. This is why your 40s and 50s can be a turning point, an opportunity to dramatically change your life. Why? Because it's during this time that many people begin to redefine success for themselves. Redefining success, a chance to transform. Here's a key question. Do you think you've been successful in life? Now, how do you evaluate your answer? The truth is, your answer depends on how you define success. If you equate success with social success, you might evaluate your life differently than if you prioritize life success, your personal happiness and fulfillment. So let me ask you again. Do you feel you've been successful in life? And no matter your answer, consider this. When you reflected on your success, were you using the standard of social success or life success as your benchmark? The way you define success can change everything. Even if your external circumstances stay exactly the same. Simply shifting your definition of success can dramatically alter your perception of whether your life feels successful. My own journey with success. For better or worse, I never managed to achieve social success. I was far from being part of the so-called winners. But because of this, I was forced to shift my definition of success earlier than most people. True story, the fate of a man who couldn't achieve social success. If you become a public school teacher, you'll be one of the winners. That's what I believed when I started my first job as a temporary middle school teacher. But instead, it became a living hell. I was bullied by my students daily. It was unbearable. Kids seemed to have a knack for identifying weak adults. While they behaved for other teachers, they ignored my instructions completely. Damn it. I was supposed to be their teacher, yet every day, my classes were chaotic. I sat in the staff room, trembling, overwhelmed with shame and misery. I can't do this. I resigned after just 1 year. I was clearly unfit for teaching. A low-ability person like me. As a jobless graduate, I eventually found a position through the employment office at a small, obscure company. Finally, I got a full-time job. I was thrilled and proudly shared the news with everyone. But their reactions crushed me. What company is that? Never heard of it. I was met with cold stares and condescension. My friends and relatives, employed at prestigious companies or as civil servants, looked at me with pity, labeling me as a loser who had failed to achieve social success. It sank in. I'm one of the unlucky ones, one of the losers. The joy I felt quickly turned into bitterness and despair. My life is just a meaningless game now. In Japan's system of hiring new graduates en masse, I had missed my chance. There was no way to reverse my fortunes and join a prestigious company now. As I got older, my belief that it was too late only grew stronger. My life felt like a series of dead games, going through the motions with no hope for a different outcome. It's painful. It's miserable. A lifeline from the world of the sages. In those dark days, my only escape was reading about sages, hermits who had freed themselves from the constraints of society. I wish I could be like them. I was drawn to the idea of total freedom and deeply wanted to change my painful life. So, I began my own inner training inspired by the sages. As part of this journey, I worked on building my own axis, a foundation of personal values that defined my happiness. Regardless of external validation. I started lowering my standards for happiness, rewriting them through self-suggestion. I had a meal today. I'm so grateful. Even though my reality hadn't changed, my happiness steadily grew. As my personal axis solidified, my definition of success began to shift naturally. Discovering two types of success. Up until that point, my entire life had been about chasing social success. My definition of success revolved entirely around how others evaluated me. Am I socially successful? That was my only measure of worth. But as my own axis developed, I realized something profound. Wait a minute. Even without others' approval, I'm feeling happier every day. Through this shift, I discovered the existence of a second type of success, life success. Life success is based on your own evaluation of your life. It's about feeling I'm happy deep in your heart, regardless of others' opinions. A new definition of success. Life is fleeting. No matter how you live, death is inevitable. Even if you achieve social success, what does it really mean? A lavish funeral? A large turnout of mourners? If that's the case, wouldn't it be better to live a life where you truly feel I'm happy every day? This realization completely turned my life around. I had once believed it was too late for me because I was stuck chasing social success. But by redefining success as life success, I transformed my perspective. Wow, this is incredible. I've turned my life around. Living in a failure but feeling successful. At the time, I was living in a shabby apartment without space for a washing machine. My meals consisted of half a can of mackerel and some rice. And yet, I had a meal today. Thank you. Hot water comes out when I turn the tap. I'm so lucky. By embracing my own, modest standards of happiness, I felt an inner peace and joy. The gap between perception and reality. However, those around me didn't see my happiness. You're a failure. Your life is over. This contrast between my inner joy and others' negative judgments taught me a valuable lesson. People evaluate others based only on surface-level appearances. Their judgments have no connection to my inner happiness. I had experienced this earlier in my life as well. When I worked as a teacher, everyone praised me. Wow, a government job. You're doing great. But internally, I was miserable, anxious, and trapped in what felt like hell. Later, in my shabby apartment, the situation flipped. Externally, I was scorned, but internally, I was at peace. This taught me. External validation is ultimately meaningless. Redefining success later in life. In our 40s and 50s, we begin to understand these distinctions more clearly. We start asking, have I spent my entire life chasing social success just to please others? As primal instincts for hierarchy and validation fade with age, we have a unique opportunity to question our priorities. This shift isn't just a revelation, it's a chance to take control of your life's direction. By redefining success on your own terms, you can transform your life, even at 50 or beyond. A final thought. In the end, we all face the same truth on our deathbeds. If I'm going to die anyway, I should have lived the life I wanted, not the one others expected of me. The earlier we realize this, the sooner we can start living authentically. And embracing life success, the true source of happiness. How to live a happy second half of life. I spent much of my life feeling like a loser, but ever since beginning my inner training, I've been living as part of the happy ones. For that, I am deeply grateful. Truly, from the bottom of my heart. The truth is, both you and I will inevitably pass away within the next few decades. No matter how we live, no matter how others judge us, our time here is limited. In fact, let's be honest. At our age, it's not unthinkable that either of us could pass away tomorrow. And if that happened, it wouldn't even shock people all that much given our stage in life. So, with that reality in mind, why should we waste time worrying about how others see us, chasing societal expectations? Or trying to please the crowd? What's the point of living in fear or putting on a facade? Instead, let's focus on what truly matters. Living authentically, in a way that feels meaningful and fulfilling to us, embracing our own version of happiness. Let's make the most of the journey ahead. So, as we move into the second half of our lives, let's commit to making it as joyful and fulfilling as possible. Let's live in a way that resonates deeply with our hearts and leaves us feeling truly at peace. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me until the very end. I deeply appreciate you.